Joining me is a very special guest. She's award-winning actor Emilie Leclerc, and she's here today to talk about her successful acting career and more, what's next for her, and how does she maintain her stamina. Welcome to the show, Emilie.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so how are you?
I'm good. Yeah, today's a brand new day. Yeah, I feel like time is moving very slowly in the sense that I miss performing. I miss going out for auditions. I miss the energy of being in a relationship with an audience or being on set. But at the same time, I just feel like days are just flying by and I don't get everything that I want to be accomplishing in my days because I don't have time, because I'm kind of on a slower pace, which is quite lovely in a sense. It's really nurturing. It's just a time I feel to learn and read a bit more and just kind of absorb and soak things in. Yeah, I was Zooming with a friend yesterday. We were talking about this time as kind of a compost time. I don't know if it's kind of gross, but it's just like it's kind of a time to make the earth fertile again, and just to so that later on we'll be able to reap what is going, how things are moving a little bit more slowly right now, which is kind of nice.
Yes, and it's time, prepping, right? We can take time to read books more and to hone in our craft and so.
And I think rethink our relationship to ourselves and to our family and friends and relationship to career. So yeah, it's kind of a lovely pause in a sense, because I'm so used to be a go-getter and be so busy, and then somehow there's nothing to get right now. So I just feel like it's I in a sense appreciate this, even though I miss being out there in the world and being more active. And I also recognize how I'm really grateful to live in this country and have healthcare. And I think in BC we're doing quite well with the COVID-19 situation. And so I really recognize that I'm very privileged in this situation. Yeah.
That's wonderful, because you are from a small town in Quebec City.
Yeah, I'm from a small town girl, countryside in Quebec. So a small town called, it's not that small, but I mean, it's pretty small in the context of Canada. So it's about 100 kilometers south of Quebec City. So I moved to Vancouver in 2006 to attend Studio 58, which is a conservatory style training program. And yeah, I've been acting since I graduated in 2008. So yeah.
So Emilie, tell us, when was the moment you wanted to be in the arts, performing arts?
Okay, so coming from a small town where arts and cultures were kind of quite difficult to come by, like it was a town where sports and hockey were really important. But when I was 8 years old in third grade, I won a national drawing contest organized by Canada Post. So my elementary school teacher had organized for us to participate, and they had sent my drawing in, and I am not a great drawer, so I don't really know how I won, but I just think it was meant to be for our family. So we ended up flying to Ottawa and staying at Chateau Laurier and visiting museums and be guests of honor at the Winterlude Festival. And I met Nathalie Simard. She was this big pop Quebecer star at the time. And I saw stilt artists and got interviewed on TV. And then from that moment on, from it became quite clear that I would be an actor, even though I had been doing plays in my parents' basement, like from the age of 6 onwards. Like at the age of 8, I really was quite clear that I wanted to be an actor.
That's wonderful. I mean, because you are in demand, I mean, you speak fluent French. I understand you're learning, you have Spanish, right?
I before I became an actor, I completed a degree in international development studies at McGill University, and I did a couple of projects in Panama and El Salvador, working for local NGOs. So I lived with the people in smaller cities. So that's how I learned Spanish, which is quite similar to French in a sense. And French is my first language. So it was pretty easy to pick up. But right now I'm learning Mandarin, which is completely different. And it's very hard, but I just find it fascinating.
That's wonderful. I mean, it's great. But when was your first acting role?
Well, when I was in high school, there was an option for us to do theater. I think so. The first time I did a play was when I was 15 years old. But outside of professional school, so I trained for 3 years in a school where we study voice and movement and acting for camera, acting Shakespeare and tap. You know, it's a really intense program. But outside of that 3-year program, my first role was L'Enfant Problème, Problem Child by George F. Walker. I played Denise. And it was at Théâtre La 16e, which is a professional French theater company here in BC.
That's great. So stage acting came first before film?
Yeah, it really did. Yeah. Oh. I love acting for the stage. I think there's a great connection in the present moment with your scene partners and with the audience that is very it's just like you get addicted to that energy that you know of being together in a moment, and then transitioning to the screen is so wonderful for me to have had the chance to work on Motherland last summer, because I am discovering kind of a different medium which I didn't know much about, and I really truly love, because it's so intimate and it's so precise. So I love both for sure. But I'm excited to continue moving forward in my career with where there's space for both medium to be a part of my life.
Mm-hmm. I mean, transferable skills, right? I mean,
yeah. I mean the work of embodiment and working with intuition and script work and research, all that is the same, but I think working for the camera is just a little bit more intimate, and like the buzz of being on set is different, but they're both wonderful. For sure.
Yes. Well, like going back to stage acting, do you prefer performing in like large audiences or small, intimate?
Well, I've never had the chance to perform for more than 300 people at once, I think. Though I've done plays multiple times. There's a couple of plays, 3 plays in particular, that I've done over 60 times each play. So, you know, so that's great. I think I like the intimacy of a smaller audience, I think. But I think being exposed to a bigger audience, requires a little bit more technique in the body and in the voice, to make sure that you can project your voice so that everybody can hear you without hurting yourself. So they're different, but yeah.
You know, congratulations on your role as Adora in Motherland.
Thank you.
So, I mean, I'm so happy. So how did you prepare for the role? Like, what was involved?
Yeah, well, like any film and TV audition, you are sent sides, usually 24 hours ahead of time that you learn, and then you prepare for your audition, and then you go in and you meet the casting director, and then, you know, it goes from there. I had been auditioning for quite a while, so, you know, I think when you stay ready, you don't have to get ready for an audition. So I think I, over the years, have learned how to keep active in my craft so that when an audition comes, then it's not the end of the world. You know, it just, it's part of the, it's part of the job to go and audition. So, yeah.
Well, you know, it's to be a professional actor and award-winning and in demand. I mean, you have, sometimes you have to face rejection, right? And
all the time.
so how do you deal with that? Like, how do you?
Oh, yeah. Well, it's interesting. I was listening to some good news a couple of days ago, and Steven Spielberg was one of the guests on the show. And he said something that resonated so truly with me. Is like, when you have a dream, and it's not just a pipe dream, it's a very profound dream, then you hang on to that dream, and the dream hangs on to you. And then the power and the drive that you feel pursuing your dream is so great that you will overcome anything that's thrown at you. Rejection is one of that. Environment or people. You will overcome all the obstacles because you are in service of your dream. So it is something greater. And that's how I feel about acting. Like throughout those past 12 years, because I've been doing this for 12 years now, like I've reconsidered many times, should I be doing this? Because it's not an easy field, and the average actor in the ACTRA average for a working actor is $15,000 a year in Canada. Like, so there's only 15% of actors who can make it a living in North America. So to get there and understand how privileged you are, how lucky you are, but just to continue being driven by your passion and constantly being curious about your craft and becoming better at it is what propels me. It's not about the outcome or the awards or whatever. It's just the joy of owning and working on the craft is so great to me that it's worth it, that it's worth any rejection.
And it's part of the course. It's part of it, right? And
of course.
And support. I mean, you have to have that support. So tell me, do you come from a family of performing?
No, not at all. Well, so yeah, that's actually really interesting. My parents have always, especially my dad, has always been opposed to me pursuing acting as a career. From a very early age, as a teenager, he would tell me, don't do that, you're going to be poor, you're going to eat out of cans. But he didn't do it in a mean way. It's just because I understand that he came from, from a world where that was just not a possibility, because of different reasons, but it was just not a possibility in his world. So it was impossible for him to imagine it for myself, and he just wanted me to be happy and not struggle. So he really helped me make my skin much thicker. Yeah. So I'm so grateful to my dad for resisting, because the teenage Emily was like, I'm going to show you that I can do this. And obviously today he's like my #1 fan. He's super supportive, and I have a wonderful relationship with him. But I'm kind of happy that he was so opposed to me pursuing this, because it really forced me to travel the world, get to know myself, and really understand how important this was for myself to do. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, I've seen a couple of your films in French, and
oh, really?
Yes, and but I mean, is there a different persona when you're acting in French and then compare it to English? Like, I'm curious.
Yeah.
I speak French too. Like I was just, yeah.
But I mean, French is my first language. I learned English quite late. Like my parents don't speak English, um, so it was really something I had to overcome coming to Vancouver and acting in English and trying to go for film and TV parts where at the beginning, 12 years ago, I was told if you show them you have an accent, you'll never work. You know, you have to rethink the way you are, you have to rethink the way you speak. And it was quite challenging to be told that as a young, fragile actor. I think luckily enough, we are in a time and in a space where we are welcoming differences way more than we did 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. And I think we are celebrating people who are speaking differently a little bit or who look differently. And I'm really grateful for that, because I have seen the industry change a lot just in these past 5 years. So for me, I mean, my partner speaks English, so we speak English at home. I've, you know, I think in English. I mean, so for me, it's both. I can act as well in one language than I can in the other, I think. But it's just like,
but yeah, so
yeah.
You're in demand, and you know. So tell me a bit more about your role as Adora. Like,
yes.
How much do you love it? Because it's about women empowerment.
I know.
Which
so grateful. Yeah. So Motherland, Fort Salem is set in an alternate America where witches ended their persecution 300 years ago by cutting a deal with the government of the United States to defend the country. So we follow 3 young women, Raelle, and then we follow Abigail and Tally, who go from early basic training into their deployment. And I play Isadora. She is a scientist at Fort Salem. She is a necro teacher. So necros are, you know, they are fascinated by death. They're studying death and the rules and the use of death in witchcraft. So yeah, she's the scientist. She's a teacher. She has a beautiful, warm, empathetic energy and nature about her. So she connects with her students on a personal level. And it's been such a joy to be a part of that project because of the message also that it carries, where it's set in a world where it's a matriarchal society. Women are you know, there's a women president and women are ruling in the army. Witches are defending the country. So yeah, it's been very empowering to do that and to have multi-dimensional, strong and fierce female characters that are not just the girlfriend of or the wife of. That they are making decisions and they are ruling the world. So that's very fascinating.
That's awesome. So
Yeah.
how, like Emilie, how do you maintain your stamina? I mean, you're so busy. You're an MC, right? You do the I believe the French announcing for the rugby sevens. Is that
correct? Yeah.
How do you do it all?
How do I do it all? That's a great question. Well, I think I think there's discipline involved, obviously. Like, as I was saying, you don't have to get ready if you stay ready. So I try to stay active, is a big part of my life. Work out 6 days a week. I meditate. I go in nature quite a bit. That's my connection to nature is quite important. And I prepare so much. I just work really hard. If I have, if I have an audition or if I have something, an MC gig, I will just do a lot of research the bands I'm going to be introducing. When I prepared for Isadora, like research witchcraft, research Wicca, research what it means to, you know, because my character was opening up, looking at vocal folds at some point. So how do vocal folds look like? So I think it's all about staying curious, about staying curious of people that are different than you, and staying open to the world and yet disciplined.
That's wonderful. No, that's great. And what is next for you, Emilie? Like,
well, I don't know what's next for me, Christine. I don't know. Yeah, so it's I mean, when COVID-19 happened, so I was directing a play, and then on March 16th, it got pulled, so we stopped. So the play was just about to open and to tour 70 different schools in all Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Vancouver. So I'm hoping to be able to complete that project once this comes back to normal. I always have like a creative project on the go I'm working on. So yeah, we'll see what happens. I'm really hoping that the film and TV industry will be back, hopefully by the end of the summer. And I think there's a good chance of that, of having like smaller crews of people. I know that our union is developing a protocol to be able to start filming again in phase 3. So yeah, I'm really hoping that these things will start happening. And if not, well, I'll continue working on my personal goals, which I don't have time to all achieve, and I've been at home for already like a month and a half. So,
well, you know, and so, is there anything else you'd like to add, Emilie? Anything?
Well, watch Motherland. Yeah, watch Motherland. You can watch it on ABC Sparks Canada for free every week. There's 2 episodes left, and I think. Yeah, I think stay positive, stay curious. And when you have the chance, buy a ticket to go to the theater. Yes. And be gentle with yourself and others.
Yes. And if people want to get in touch with you, where can they go?
Oh, Instagram. Yeah, so I'm Emilie Leclerc 123. So find me on Instagram, follow me. And yeah, that's probably the best way. I also have a personal website, emilieleclerc.com.
Yes. Well, thank you very much for coming on the show, Emilie, and all the best to you. And it was such a pleasure speaking with you today.
Thank you so much for taking the time, Christine.
Yeah, so have a good day. Je vous souhaite une bonne journée, Emilie.
Oui, moi aussi. Prends soin de toi. Bonne chance.
OK. Salut. Bye.
Salut.